Welcome to AEW Fight Forever Series 1. This is episode 30. This is the final day of match day 5. And we are in our women's group B. We're going to jump over to the table where Ruby Soho has been pretty dominant so far, sitting at 4-0. Jade Cargill at 3-1. And then we've got a host of women at 2-2. For this week's episode, Ruby Soho, our table leader, taking on Kris Statlander, Jade Cargill taking on Toni Storm, sitting at 2-2, and then we've got Nyla Rose taking on Winter Sacramento, and Hikaru Shida, who's at 1-3, taking on Yuka Sakazaki. But we're going to jump over to our opener today, which is Kris Statlander versus Ruby Soho. Ruby Soho trying to go 5-0.
The following contest is set for one fall.
This is a highly anticipated match.
Making her way to the ring, Kris Statlander. And her opponent, Ruby Soho.
So with Kris Statlander taking on Ruby Soho, Ruby total control of the group at this point. But Statlander's in that interesting space of being kind of in the middle, sitting at 2-2. She has this match where she can put herself in a position to move up the table, depending on what happens. But it's been tough to beat Ruby Soho so far. And Ruby's in an interesting space. It almost feels in some ways like it's a must-win for Ruby because she needs to get to 5 wins, get to 5-0. We're seeing that's where she'll, it seems like that's where she'll kind of lock herself in for that final spot, or to fight for gold here. So it's an interesting matchup. This week has a bunch of interesting matchups with how muddled the middle of the table is. So Kris Statlander picks up the win. She now has victories over both Ruby Soho and Jade Cargill.
Kris Statlander.
If you're like me, you are out of breath. What a great match we've had tonight.
The following contest is set for one fall.
This will be an exciting match.
Making her way to the ring, Hikaru, Shida. And her opponent, Yuka, Sakazaki.
All right. So after our first match with Ruby Soho going down, this is a spot for Yuka Sakazaki to have put herself in a position to show some have some success here. Hikaru Shida's had a pretty disappointing tournament so far, sitting at 1-3, not where we expected her to be by any stretch of the imagination, considering she's one of the best in the world. But we're gonna see maybe a different side of her as we move into these final few matches. We'll see if she can, maybe like a Jamie Hayter for, Group A, if she can have a strong close to the group stage and get some momentum moving into the shows. And Hikaru Shida picks up the win. She goes to 2-3. Yuka Sakazaki drops to 2-3 as well.
The winner of this match, Hikaru Shida.
Wow, fans, it's been incredible. What an amazing match we've had tonight.
This bout is set for one fall.
If you're like me, fans, you can't wait. What an exciting match this is going to be.
Making her way to the ring, she is the native beast, Nyla. And her opponent, Tuko.
All right, Nyla Rose, seeing what's happened, seeing some of the losses that have happened so far in this episode, knows that she has to win here. Thankfully, she's up against winner Sacramento, who's basically just here to fulfill the quota of getting 8 women in the group, and not having, or not forcing me to have to figure out how to map out episodes for a 7-woman group. Nyla Rose hits the Beast Bomb, wins the match, goes to 3-2.
That was one for the ages. What a match.
This bout is set for one fall.
Man, this should be one hell of a singles match.
Making her way to the ring, Jade, Cargill. And her opponent, Toni, Storm.
Alright, Jade Cargill knows the task ahead of her here. A win against Toni Storm, which is not easy, puts her in a position to take over, or at least be tied at the top of the group with Ruby Soho. And they still have their match coming up. Jade's only loss to this point is Kris Statlander, same as Ruby Soho's. So with that match coming up, the winner will have the tiebreaker between Jade and Ruby Soho, provided that Jade gets the win here. It'll be interesting to see if Toni can get to 3-2, especially knowing that we have Kris Statlander and Nyla Rose sitting at 3-2 now. But that would also put Jade Cargill at 3-2. So we kind of would move Jade right into the middle. So we'll see what happens here. We'll see who can pick up the victory and put themselves in a position to top the group here at the end. All right, Toni Storm picks up the win with Storm 0. She goes to 3-2. Jade Cargill drops to 3-2.
Man, what a match. I'm so glad I was here to call it.
And as we move over to the table, we take a look to see Ruby Soho kind of bailed out here with her performance in a lot of ways. She is at 4-1, still leading the table on 12 points. But now we have 4 women chasing her down, 1 match away. Jade Cargill, Toni Storm, Kris Statlander, and Nyla Rose all sitting on 9 points. For our next episode, we are back over to Group A, where we have a big matchup coming up at the top of the table with CM Punk taking on Mr. Brody Lee in our main event. We'll see you then.